What's up? Skakel is back, babies. Back in the house. The Earlverse is back in business. Just decided to take a little break from streaming, reassess where my time is best spent. But I also did do a dry run of the Eddie Nash route, so that will be done sooner than later on a Sunday night. Whew. Rest in peace to the big man. So I hope you guys are well. It's good to see the regulars in the stream. I was asked by two people in the Dabbleverse world to go on their streams this week. I was like, no chance, brother. So I'm here for my peeps. Me and Lois. Lois is to the right, passed out on the kitchen floor. And we don't have to get into that, ACDC, but let's just say I told both you guys all snipe each other. I'm not going to be sniped. Actually, it was Ray and Chad, to be honest with you. Who I like both dudes, but you guys know I ain't about that energy. A nice, tight, happy stream here in the Earlverse. So let me see. I mean, he had brain cancer. That's what he died of. So they're throwing him in there pretty fast. I'm assuming he'll be in the Hall of Fame this year or next year, I guess. Booker T did a very moving tribute to him tonight or this morning. So I would recommend Booker T do it, but because I don't think he was really good friends with anyone in the business. So, it would be very interesting to see. I don't think it could be Flair. It's well known that him and Flair didn't really get along that well. I mean, maybe Sting could do it. I don't know if Tony Khan would let him do that, because he's kind of AEW adjacent. But it's, he was the perfect look for that time. 6'9", 320 pounds, unhinged on the mic, which added to his character when he would botch his promo. It's funny. I was just talking with Jordan, the Lion. Check out his channel. And I was just like, do you know how fucking far Sid must have hit a slow pitch softball? Like, I'm pretty strong. And I would say I didn't have great technique when I played softball hitting one. I would always get a hit. Like, I never didn't get a hit because I could only hit the ball maybe on the fly about 50 feet over the shortstop's head. I'd always usually pull the ball to the left. It was the perfect distance. I would always hit the ball in between the shortstop and the left fielder. So, but Sid, I can't imagine how if he got a hold of the ball. My God, I mean, and most softball fields they don't have a fence. It's just like an endless field. That backs onto the opposite end of another softball field, I could see Sid clearing the fence. Um, yeah, I mean, brain cancers. That's what my mom died of, and let's just say it ain't pretty. So I can only imagine, unfortunately, what it did to Sid. You just you don't. When my mom died, when I saw her when she was literally minutes deceased, you don't recognize people. So it's really quite a shame that the WWE, who probably knew he was dying, didn't do something for him. But that's the business. What up, Big Ben Jones? What up, Mason in Portland? A streaming legend. Kip Smith in the house, so no funny business. I know Abdullah the Butcher still around, barely walking, but still around. Um, we got dogs barking. That's the one great thing about Lois is she doesn't really bark a lot. Hit the like button if you can. Um, R.I.P. to the gentle giant. By all accounts, Chris Storn in the house. Great Northern California comic, Vegas comic. Check Chris Storn out. Uh, who could place it? Oh boy, I mean, nobody really. I mean, I know in the Hulk Hogan, the Todd Phillips Hogan biopic, that I don't know if that's ever getting released or. I think Liam Hemsworth was playing Hogan, and I could kind of see that. Hemsworth's a pretty big guy. I mean, I don't think he's Hulk Hogan big, but they can make it work. There's no 6'9", 320-pound actors. Um, Now you could do it like they did the Von Erich movie. I mean, if you look at um, all the actors who played the Von Erichs, none of them were that big. So certainly weren't as big as the Von Erichs were in real life. So I mean, I don't think there'll be a Sid movie, to be honest with you. But a lot of people love the guy. I think a lot more people um, pay tribute to him than you would think. Because I think younger fans probably don't know who he is, but most people, um, wrestler, I would say people over 30 probably are big fans of his. Um, and certainly people my age, 55, 56, grew up watching Sid in his prime. I've been watching for first time ever clips of Big Jay Okerson stand up. He's definitely funny. Yeah, he's very funny. Queen on $1.99. Which pro wrestling biopic would you want to see? It's an interesting question. I mean, there's wrestlers out there with dark history. Selfishly, a Hogan biography would be pretty good. But if Hogan has anything to do with it, it's going to clean up all the bullshit. Um, it's like those A&E documentaries about the WWE legends. You can clearly tell that um, the WWE has a hand in wiping out some of the history they don't want you to hear. A Chris Benoit movie would be great. And that's a tough one because you know how it ends, but it would be maybe a good Netflix movie. A Warrior movie. I don't think. Warrior had a very interesting life. Started out as Mr. Georgia in bodybuilding. There's always rumors that him and Buff Bagwell were male escorts in Atlanta. And it starts off with Sting and has the Blade Runners, and then he's in the World Class Championship Wrestling as the Dingo Warrior, and then he gets the big break with WWE, and then he goes off, disappears, becomes like a right wing, speaker, and then comes back, and I mean, it's a fascinating story, but I don't know if there's really a need for an Ultimate Warrior movie. Um, Randy Savage would be cool if Dan Soder did the voice. Randy Orton, Hacksaw Jim Duggan. I don't think they're going to make a movie about him. Piper would be a good movie, but I don't know if there's necessarily the demand for that. Where have you been, Rob? Schmugly. I just been trying to figure out a way to best spend my time on YouTube. Like I said, a stream like this is more for the fans and friends. And then the shorts and the videos and the comedy clips are more trying to get new fans here. So I've been concentrating more on that, to be honest with you. Um, Earl, not many people want to tell the story of a guy who killed his family, but it'd be a good movie though. Like even though you know the end of the story, it still, I think, would be a fascinating movie to basically the movie would be what led him to do that. The Hart family, those dudes grew up like savages, 100%. I mean, those guys, you basically wrestled for real in the Hart family. I mean, if you look at some of the people who were trained by Stu Hart, Piper, Bad News Brown, who was a real life judoka, any Canadian wrestler was, trained by, Stu Hart. And you basically went to his basement and it was real wrestling. Oh, you want to, he'd take a football player who had a great body like the Ultimate Warrior, not him specifically, but someone like him. Do you know how many guys who look like Ultimate Warrior would go to Stu Hart's basement and go, I can be a wrestler. It's fake. And Stu Hart showed them how fake it was. And they would literally run out of the basement and never be seen. Uh, no, I was not, William. I was not. Yeah, Roddy Piper, his early life, definitely fascinating. Um, Chokeslam. Yes, hit the like button. Um, yes, rest in peace, Sid, for sure. Well, I mean, I think Stu took wrestling probably a little more seriously than he should have. But he was old school. Like in the 50s and 60s, it was still like predetermined, but it was pretty stiff, the wrestling from the Stu Hart era. So I don't think he liked these bodybuilding guys coming in, King Mabel biopic. I don't know. Boy, maybe Bruce could play Mabel. Viscera. Um, yeah, I mean, they didn't fuck around in the 50s to the early 70s. It's like, oh, you want to be a pro wrestler, Mr. Football player? Let's see what you got. Um, so, you know, and then it got a little more choreographed and whatnot in the 80s and 90s and certainly the 2000s. I mean, you guys know I'm an AEW guy, but a lot of your matches in AEW look like choreographed dance. Jordan the Lion in the house, the man, the ruler of the world, Jordan. Hey, look, there's RoboCop right there. Hold on, right there. There's RoboCop. I'll do a live promo. And hold on, let's get. All right, he's talking. Are you guys ready? RoboCop. I'm 6'9", 320 pounds. I am the real Man of Steel in the NWA, and you better learn to like it. How many people do that shit word for word? Bret Hart is the most bitter wrestler by far. Yeah, Bret Hart's like the wrestling version of me. He don't give a fuck. Um, but I also think Bret Hart, thinks the shit was real. Like he really thinks he was the greatest wrestler of all time. It's like, bro, every you won was predetermined by the writers. Um, This thing is the only guy left that I really like. Um, Earl, your favorite Van Halen song with Hagar. Well, you guys know my love of the movie The Wildlife, where Van Halen did the soundtrack. It's basically demos for what would be the first Van Halen album. Uh, what's that? Na na. How do I know when it's love? I can't tell you, but it lasts forever. I like that song. Na 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 na. I like that one. Yeah, I mean, Sid had the body, the mic skills, and a lot of people shit on his mic skills, but to me, the botching of the lines in some of his promos added to the character that he was some unhinged maniac. Um, I like the song over the closing credits of The Wildlife. It's just a keyboard, dee 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 dee. I don't even think that's a song. It's just the closing credits thing. Um, I mean, I don't know if I do have a great. I call it. What is my playlist called on Spotify? I don't know if it's public. I guess I could share it, but I don't know how to do that. My playlist on Spotify is Earl's 80s Wank Fest. Some real give me a burger with some of that cheese. My Thai girlfriend has a unit. Aaron Butler always coming in hot. Pound Cake's good. I like some of the songs that they did with Gary Sharon. Um, Red Band is getting married. Sounds like a WWE storyline. I mean, who knows? Maybe it's all work. Maybe I'll get invited to that wedding. I know certain people did not invite me to their wedding because of the blood feud I have with Jeff. It's really awesome that you would pick that guy as a friend over me, but welcome to Hollywood. It is a public playlist. So how do I share that? You guys see that's what I love about the Earlverse. You can so I go on. Let me go on the main Earl's 80s Wank Fest. All right, and so shuffle. I don't know. Let's see that you can make private, remove, delete, exclude, start a jam, edit, download. How do I share it? Oh, here we go. I'm going to share on my Instagram story. So if you guys follow me at Earl Skakel, I'm going to share that on Instagram and let's see if it pops up. Oh, it's right here. Do I do the link here? Thank you guys. Dark Side of Comedy with Big Earl. It is a dark. Copy the link. All right. So go on Earl Skakel and you will get my 80s Wank Fest. I'm sharing. It is a great playlist, to be honest with you. I'm not going to lie. Let me just put it down here. I mean, just the first three songs Lick It Up, Heaven's on Fire, Round and Round, and the fourth one of Lay It Down. All right. So go on Spotify and you will get. Can I do it on Twitter too? Let's see if I can do it on Twitter. No, just Twitter. No, that's oh yes, you can or X. I'm sorry, my bad, my bad. All right, so there we go. I'm posting it on Twitter as well or X, whatever. Get you guys involved in the Earl Skakel jams. I have it on CD, and all songs are free on YouTube. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't think it would be on Spotify, but it is a great. Donut City is a great song. Some great instrumental work that I think a lot ended up being on the first Van Hagar album. Uh, Bubba Smith did stand up. I used to see him at my gym I worked at. Um, yes, Desmond Child. Basically, Rat was trying to ride the wave of Bon Jovi's success. So Desmond Child and Sir Arthur Payson, who I think was a pseudonym for somebody, um, basically wrote all of Detonator. So that, Heads I Win, Tails You Lose, the ballad Giving Yourself Away. Um, and, it's, people will say that uh, Rat went down with each successive album, but I like Detonator. I mean, they were reaching for straws because, they were getting lapped by the Bon Jovis and the Def Leppards and the Poisons and the Cinderellas, so they were trying to sound like them. I mean, Rat always was a harder edge band, but I get it. They were trying to stay relevant. And I do think this was right around when Robin Crosby was starting to fade out, so it was a bad time for Rat. But, I love their greatest hits album. I mean, if you buy their greatest hits album or Spotify at 8191, there's really not a bad song on it. How many bands can say that? Milton Berle did not write Lay It Down, but he was in the Round and Round and Back for More video. Blue Thunder, man, I haven't heard that TV show in a long time. Mr. Zoom. Gino Bisconti didn't invite you to his wedding to Keanu. Her parents are fireworks multimillionaires. Gino is set. He did not invite me to the wedding. Um, Tommy McNulty, I believe you are new to the stream. Welcome aboard. Earl, so glad you are not in the Dabbleverse because one cannot clean shit off their shoes when standing in a pile of it. It's just not my thing. I'll answer questions about it just because I know everyone. Um, but no problem, waiver, no problem. Um, yeah, it's just, but I get it. I mean, I was watching MLC today and there was like 751 people in it. I mean, I would love to have 750 people in this stream right now. But I'd also rather have the 23 people who are here right now. We just talk about whatever hockey, Kiss, my playlist, pay respects to Psycho Sid Justice, um, talk stand up and whatnot. And now I tried to tape my set Sunday night at the Comedy Store. I thought I did everything correctly. Turns out I just took a picture. I thought I had slid it over to the video column, but apparently I just hit the red button and took a picture of the comic before me. So, well, thank you, Waver. Thank you. I've been watching the Shockmaster intro in honor of Sid. Yeah, well, it's funny. I was just telling someone about it, which I think the Shockmaster situation was 31 years ago yesterday. But if you look at the Shockmaster clip in its entirety, Sid's the only one that stayed in character. Booker T, who's on the mic, is laughing. Stevie Ray's kind of clueless. Flair at one point just walks off with the girl, and Colonel Parker just disappears. Sting was trying to keep it together with Davy Boy Smith, but I think they were lost in the weeds. And Tugboat, who was the Shockmaster, he was just kind of trying to save face. And Arnie Anderson, who was the voice of the Shockmaster, I mean, he was trying to recover for everyone, but Sid's the only one who did not break. Um, so you know, it's and the same goes for when Sid turned on Shawn Michaels. I'm giving you the night off, big man. You don't give me the night off, boy. And then he power bombs Shawn Michaels twice. I mean, Sid's iconic, man. Power bombing Brian Pillman into unconsciousness, and then power bombing again. Basically an unconscious man. Uh, oh, did I say Arn Anderson? I mean Ole Anderson. Forgot Shockman. Earl is the Hog Master. Well, I'll take it. I'll take it. Um, but a great, and even in the vignette with Kevin Nash, where the famous one where it's like, "You got, I've got half the brain you have." um, that kind of added to the unhingedness of his character. So, he Sid was kind of like Warrior, where their promos, everyone makes fun of how bad the promos were for Warrior and Sid, but you know what? We still talk about them. I mean, how many Hogan promos do we talk about? Really, outside the NWO initial speech, you don't really remember Hogan's promos. They all kind of sounded the same. How many Don Morocco promos do you remember? I can't remember one. Obviously the Flair promos, we all remember mini Flair promos, but you know, Sid was unheralded, and it's just too bad that he didn't get to get into the Hall of Fame before he passed. But you know, that's I mean, not many people have his resume. I mean, headlined two WrestleManias, one against Hogan, one against Undertaker, two-time WWF champ, two-time WCW champ. I don't know if he won a belt in ECW, but he was good in ECW when he was at the end of his career. That one promo he did with the Dudley Boys, that was pretty funny. What do you got to say, you big dumb blonde piazza? For a country boy, you sure do have a pretty mouth. And then he chokeslammed both Bully Ray and Devon, and then gave Spike Dudley a hard power bomb. Um, and was pretty athletic. I mean, outside the one broken leg injury against Scott Steiner, he was pretty nimble for a guy 6'8", 6'9", 320 pounds. Um, I follow USC a little bit, but I'm not a huge college football guy. Although my favorite video game right now is NCAA college football 25 because it's kind of cool. You can like build your team, you can recruit players for the next season, and it's based on the good recruits you get is all based on how you're doing in the current season. So I like shit like that. Just keeps my mind um, occupied from the world of stand-up comedy, which can be a pain in the buttocks. Yeah, Spike was like a precursor to Darby Allen. I mean, really, some of the bumps he took for a guy his size. I mean, go look up Sid ECW debut, and you'll see like Sid just picks him up like he's nothing. Which I don't know how big Spike Dudley was, but oh my god. Um, Do you get to order digital hookers for the locker room after a big game? I wish. I wish. Um, yeah, some of those guys in wrestling and hockey. I know some hockey tough guys. My good buddy, the Bomber, Ken Baumgartner. He graduated like first in his class in Wharton Business School, and it's like a huge stockbroker. You would not guess that a hockey goon slash tough guy from the mid '80s would be someone you would invest your money with. But Ken is a very, very smart guy. Um, yeah, I mean, I knew him when he played for the Kings in like '87 to I think '90, and then he was traded um, to the Islanders, I think, for Miko Makala. Um, so Yeah, Trump did go to Wharton. I think Ken Baumgartner had a better academic record than the man who might be president. But you know, yes, the Trump. No, he did not go to Trump University. I think he. I never saw Sid wrestle in person. Um, Never met him. He's one of the ones I wish I would have met. I mean, I've seen a lot of the legends wrestle. Doom, you got to write some new material, baby doll. But I do enjoy your clips. We get some people from the Dabbleverse slowly coming in. I don't mind. Come one, come all. Um, I mean, Doom, did you write on season 3 of Undateable? It was the same shtick on that show too. But yeah, welcome, Doom. Always a pleasure to see you in the stream. Um, we got Kip Smith on the moderation duties tonight. Um, I'm not sure what those faces mean, but I do watch your channel, Doom. Uh, no, I think it was. Well, I know the guy whose card that was. The guy who teaching stand up comedy. I know the guy. His first name is Jerome, and he might be the most unfunny comic I've ever worked with, which is saying something given that you guys know a lot of the people that I've worked with. Ooh, excuse me, how rude to yawn in a stream. How do you like that Trump is in the WWE Hall of Fame and Sid isn't? Yeah, I mean, that says it all right there. That a two-time champion, four-time champion, if you count his WCW run, is not in the WWE Hall of Fame, but Donald Trump is. Earl, have you discussed RFK Jr. endorsing Trump, yet his sister disowning him on MSNBC? I mean, I think he got Trump an extra 5 votes. I mean, let's be honest, RFK Jr. wasn't exactly killing it in the polls. Um, Schaub, I think Schaub quit comedy. So, I always thought he would, and I say that because, to be honest with you, he just, he never was at open mics. He never was in workout rooms. And, so he didn't work on his act. So I think that, um, he just, he didn't want it bad enough. You got to fucking, comedy is no joke. It's a job if you take it seriously. So um, I don't think Schaub. I feel bad for him because he all his friends at the time were famous comics. Rogan, D'Elia, Theo, Santino, Griffin. All these guys have. I mean, every guy I just named has a minimum of 2 to 3 specials. Hinchcliffe was a newer friend of his, and every time he was in a room with those guys, he's looking at them going, "Well, I want a special too." So, but I will say, Shaw was always nice to me, so I got no problem with the guy. I mean, that first special was rough, to be honest with you, but you know, and then I didn't see the second special. I heard it wasn't much better, but I don't know what his next step is, but I guess I wish him well. I think Rogan comedy is boring. I'm a DePaulo, Gillis, Okerson, Earl guy nowadays. Hey, I'll take it. But no, comedy's subjective. I mean, I'm sure people think I suck, and some people think I'm great. When I did the Mothership, the Austin comic CJ Landry, he brought me up as this guy's a legend, and like, so that was nice to hear. But but there's probably more than a few people who think I suck. So, uh, but I don't think that there's very many comics who would sit there and say Shop's first special was good. I mean, comedy is subjective. We all like what we like, but like that was bad on every level. Did you film your special at the mothership? I mean, no, because there's already been a few specials taped there. So, well, Rogan is a great interviewer. He's like Howard Stern back in the day, where if you take away the butt bongo and Daniel Carver and you break down some of his interviews, they were really good. And I think Joe's, if he likes you, it's a good interview. Um, and I think the few bad interviews he's had, it's just there wasn't good chemistry. with the person. Like when I was on Corolla, I would say the first 10 to 12 minutes weren't bad, but they weren't great because I'm very respectful and then, okay, this is Corolla's show. I'm going to let him do most of the talking. Um, but then we hit about the 12 to 15-minute mark. I think it's when I mentioned Dexter Manley and Corolla would like, obviously, me and him are the same age. So we got into, that era of football. And then after that, it was a very good interview. Um, yeah, I mean, I am an LA comic, so I would, but if Joe, and he's not going to reach out to me, but if he for whatever reason called me and said, "Hey, do you want to film your special at the mothership? I hear you're looking," I would do it, um, because I think the Austin comics were very good to me, and obviously they're not going to be in the crowd, but the Austin crowds were really good to me. Even though they didn't, I'm not a local guy. I didn't move there. Um, I was treated very well by the Austin comedy scene. Thoughts on Kill Tony and MSG? I mean, it's mind blowing to me. I mean, I remember the first panel I did on Kill Tony was in the belly room. It's probably within the first year of the show. I think it was me and Michael Costa, and there was maybe 25 to 30 people in the room, comics, panelists, camera guy. And I remember whispering to Michael Costa, "This show sucks." But it clearly wasn't what it became. I mean, whether you like Tony or not, you got to give him the props, and Red Band too. I mean, Red Band is the hidden gem in the podcasting world. I mean, when you look at, he's very much responsible for the Rogan success, the initial Rogan podcast success, because a lot of it came from that clip of Mencia at the Comedy Store, and Red Band was the one. I don't know what he was thinking, but I'm sure it was like, "Hey, I got to film this." And he was also responsible for the initial success of Your Mom's House. And with Kill Tony, could you get another producer for Kill Tony? Yeah, you could. But since Red Band's a comic, he gets the beats. So, and him and Tony have like a little brother, big brother type relationship. So, he is really um, a hidden gem in the podcasting world. Um, well, I mean, I think, yeah, I mean, that's another one he started. Brody and Holtzman's podcast was a Dead Air. So, Redman is someone who really is pretty iconic in the podcasting world. Um, and, his comedy club in Austin's awesome. Are you new to the Earlverse? Welcome, welcome. It's crazy how Kill Tony has blown up. I'm happy for him in Red Band. I personally prefer the older format with the band, but I'm clearly in the minority. I mean, listen, I think, the panel 3 or 4 times. I think I was the Iron Patriot twice. And if you would have said to me, "Hey, this is gonna be in Madison Square Garden for 2 nights," one night I'd be like, "I don't know." 2 nights, I'd be like, "You're fucking nuts." That's why I always tell people who are pitching me their products, you know, no idea is too stupid. I mean, because and it's simplicity at its finest. I mean, Kill Tony is literally Tony Hinchcliffe and Red Band hosting an open mic. That's all it is. But you take the gravitas of celebrity panelists now, and I mean, I personally liked it in the beginning when it wasn't big, and Tony would have his friends on like me and Costa and people of that nature. And now it's like, hey, let's get Alex Jones on or Ric Flair or Tucker Carlson, which is great. Jordan Peterson. But that's, you guys know me. I liked roast battle back in the day when there was no celebrities involved in it. But like everything, the bigger it gets, the worse the product gets, in my opinion. Um, I don't listen to Legion of Skanks. I love those guys. I just don't listen to it. Um, yeah, I mean, no idea is too dumb, William. I don't. Um, I get sales pitched so many wacky ideas, and I'm like, hey, I remember roast battle started with 5 people in a room, and it got 3 seasons of US television, 2 in the UK, and more rip-off shows than maybe any comedy show in the history of the time. I mean, there's, Comic Wars, there's, Roast Battle Tokyo, Roast Battle, there's a whole Roast Battle league now. Yeah, Jason Reitman, he gives me a weird vibe whenever I see him at the Comedy Store, but, he's friends with Jeff, so I'm assuming that has something to do with it. Yeah, I mean, I can see people not liking Kill Tony, Roast Battle as well, it's the lowest common denominator type humor, to be honest, bottom of the barrel humor, uh, but, a lot of people like it, it's playing in arenas, so, I mean, I'm happy for Tony and Red Band. I mean, some of the people on the show kind of think they're a little funnier than they are, but so you guys can barely stumble through 1 minute of comedy. You think you're going to headline now? I don't think so. Um, yeah, Rough Crowd was a great show, but did that even change? And it's like all shows are better in the early years. Miami Vice, the first 2 seasons were flawless. And then once the show got a little bigger and then everyone wants a little more money and whatnot, it changes and it happens with I mean, Kiss, those first 3 or 4 albums were awesome because they were fucking hungry. Rap, that EP and the first album were great because they were fucking young, starving, hungry musicians from San Diego. And then with each album got bigger, got worse in quality. When is your special coming out? I don't know, to be honest with you. We're working on a location, um, but like I have said before, I want the location to be special. I just don't want it to be some random theater we could rent, put my friends in, and then when you turn on YouTube or Netflix or whatever it would be, it just looks like any other special. Uh, I wish, Jordan, I would love to do Cobra too. I know there was talk about a Cobra TV series. Which maybe that was what Stallone turned into Tulsa King. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, when Michael Mann left to do Crime Story, the show suffered. I think he handed off the reins to Dick Wolf, and far be it from me to argue Dick Wolf, but it definitely. I think when they switched the movie from Jan Hammer to Todd Rundgren, it kind of lost the vibe. Uh, DePaulo arguing race with Pacino and O'Neill was classic. Absolutely. DePaulo arguing the same with the greatest American hero. I want your eyes, pig. Yeah, I mean, but that you could point to any band, any movie. Look at the Fast and Furious. The first movie was fucking great. Like I still love watching that first movie. Second one was okay. And then, I watched one the other day where they literally are in space. It's like, okay, this is not believable. Um, but are you sure on that? Didn't Todd Rundgren have something to do with either Miami Vice or Crime Story? Maybe it was Crime Story. But they changed the music, I think, around when Zito left, and it just wasn't the same. Leonard Katzman, not much, to be honest with you. Uh, but I mean, you could literally go to any band. Um, okay, I see what you're saying, William. But any band, any movie franchise. I mean, look at the first 3 Star Wars, 77 to 83. Awesome. I haven't truly liked another a Star Wars movie since Return of the Jedi. Um, Kiss, Rat. I mean, Bon Jovi. I mean, those first, Fahrenheit. Uh, that album Fahrenheit. I forget the rest of the numbers, but it's a great album because you can tell that these are 5 guys from Jersey who are young, hungry, broke. You could feel it on the album, and then with each album, they just got bigger and bigger and bigger, and it just, I don't know, the quality of the songs. They were writing with Desmond Child too, so Um, it just kind of lost something. Uh, yeah, I mean that Miami Vice movie was pretty rough. I mean, I've said it before in this stream. It literally just was like a Bad Boys 2 script. You ever see the '80s movie Hot Moves, Earl? I don't believe so, Albert. Yeah, that movie did suck. It just, it didn't pay homage to the TV show. Now, I'm not saying I expected Colin Farrell and Jamie Foxx to be walking around in members only jackets and pastel colors, but I would think that the people who are really into seeing that movie would want a little bit of an homage to the TV show, and you just didn't get it. You and Chad both quoted Sid Vicious, the wrestler, and the first three Star Wars movies today. May I ask what is going on? I don't know. Yeah, William Zoom, I would agree with that. And it was boring. I would agree with that, ACDC. I mean, it just was like, I mean, Miami Vice, the TV show, was the perfect time for that era. Don Johnson, even though he was not the first choice to play Sonny Crockett, I believe it was Brandon Tartikoff was like, "Hey, we've done 5 failed pilots with Don Johnson. This guy ain't anchoring our show." And I believe that Officer John Baker, aka Larry Wilcox, was supposed to be Don, Sonny Crockett, where he literally was screen testing with other tubs. Like I think Larry Wilcox, if you want to know what Miami Vice could have been, Larry Wilcox screen tested with Denzel Washington as Tubbs. So that would have been interesting. What up, Dr. Chow, the Mega G in the house? Chad Zumach is great on podcasts, not so good stand up. I've never seen Chad do stand up. You think, oh, Earl, come on, you're lying. You've known him for 10 years, but we were never on shows in LA together. Yeah, I mean, Philip Michael Thomas, I think, he was in, like an episode of Good Times and some other shows, but I think Denzel Washington was very high up on the list of uh, for Tubbs. Well, Pepe Serna was up for the role of Tubbs. I mean, he's a very good actor. Of course, he was. I think it was two different characters in Miami Vice. He was in Down for the Count, which is, of course, the two-part episode where Zito dies. He's responsible for the killing of Larry Zito and Tex Cobb. That's one of my favorite episodes because you've got all the favorites in Vice. You've got Switek's in it a lot because of Zito. Um, you've got the karate expert. I think he leads the category of most different characters on Miami Vice. I uh, Joe Hess, I think is his name, Hess, where he was four different characters in Miami Vice. And I know Ned Eisenberg was three. Um, we already did that. The murder site, Ross Dogs. Keep up, baby doll. Keep up. Um, yeah, I mean Pepe Serna. I mean, my favorite Miami Vice episode was when he, along with Joe Hess and a couple of unnamed actors, were the henchmen in the two-part episode where Larry Zito was killed. Earl, do you know Michael Skakel, who was wrongly convicted of murder? I've never heard of him. Um, Let me see. I mean, it would be interesting to see. I'm a big fan of casting. I mean, Gregory Sierra was basically going to be Castillo, but he didn't like living in Miami, so he has to be taken out of the show. I don't know if he regrets that or not. Um, yeah, I think I want to say Giancarlo Esposito played two characters. I might be wrong on that. And of course, my favorite like casting or whatever you want to call it of Miami Vice. There's virtually nothing on this actor. He was the guy who played Izzy's assistant in 4 different episodes, including Phil the Shill, one of my favorite Miami Vice episodes. Manny, he played Izzy's assistant. In the 4 episodes he was in, he never said a word. And I've been on a few Miami Vice, I guess you'd call them fan boards or super super fan sites, and they all say that Manny, Izzy's assistant, was just like a PA on the show, and they just threw him in these 4 episodes as a laugh. Um, Burt Reynolds turned down the lead in The Shining, thank God. Yeah, but Burt Reynolds, I'd be interested to see his take on that. He was a great actor. Earl has conquered the most wild LA beaver. I'm up there. Uh, well, you just never know. He probably, I've often wondered, Miami Vice had a few people like that. I mean, John Deal, who played Larry Zito for the first 2.5 seasons, he wanted to do like independent films in Broadway. And although he certainly has had a very nice working career, um, he probably made more money in those Buick commercials than he did in Miami Vice. It's kind of ballsy to leave Miami Vice in the height of its fame. The guy who played Speedle in CSI Miami, Rory Calhoun or Roy Cochran. Um, he did the same thing on CSI Miami. Basically, left the show at the height of its fame. You know what this means? Look at that. Peter Chicken Man Brennan. Think Nassar and Dante don't perform at store because of Leslie. I mean, Nassar's killing it on YouTube. I think he has like 1 billion views on YouTube or TikTok, 1 million followers. I mean, he works it. But Adam didn't put him up. Emily's not putting him up. So I don't think Leslie has anything to do with Nassar not getting spots. Dante, I know, routinely calls in for him and his clients and doesn't get spots. So if you're an actor, though, you would think working would be a good thing. Well, listen, as someone who was in a TV show for 2 seasons, I'm dying up here, and I was barely in it, but I was in it enough to say I was in it, I guess. I mean, it's fucking brutal, the hours. I mean, I could add, the last season of I'm Dying Up Here, I would say the average day was 15 hours and a lot of nighttime shoots. So I could understand, and it was Miami Vice. So I could understand John Deal being like, I'd rather do a play off Broadway than, these 20-hour work days in Miami. Um, but, some people just, you know, um, they don't care. They just want to be an actor and or teach acting. And yeah, I mean, Rory hasn't done a lot since CSI Miami. Did you, Albert Barnes, Bad News Barnes? Did you like Porky's? I love the first one. Second one's pretty good. Third one, they were all in their early 30s playing high school students at Angel Beach. So I didn't really, it was a little long of a tooth by the third one. I actually saw Pee Wee at the, DMV once with his family, and I was, like, 10 ahead of him in line, and I kept looking back, and he saw me look back. He knew I knew who he was, and I leave my place in line, which at the DMV in California, you don't do, and he just looks at me and goes, "Bro, I appreciate it, but I'm with my family right now." He didn't wanna talk about, him in a movie measuring his dick. Earl, are you like me and love the wild? Yes, I do like the wildlife more than Fast Times. Not many people would say that. Earl, are you ready for football next Sunday? I am. I watched the Steelers in preseason. They did not look very good. They got a tight quarterback battle. I'm not sure what's going to happen, but I think they may. Well, every team made their final roster cuts today. So, um, Earl, were you a fan of Art Bell? I loved Art Bell. I had a great Sunday night vibe of listening to the Matt Drudge radio show from 7 to 10, Art Bell from 10 to 2, and then I think at the time, William Bennett, the disgraced Republican, he had a good show. I don't know, I just like the sound of his voice. That was my Sunday night jam. Um, hell yeah, Pee-wee was 35 when they filmed that first movie. Yeah, I mean, and of course, I did speak a few times with Tony Gagnos before he passed away. Meat, AKA Meat, and also the TV repairman in Die Hard. Um, yeah, I mean, well, Edward James Olmos is a very accomplished actor, but I'm going to assume that Gregory Sierra, said, "Hey," he just didn't want to do the show and didn't want to live in Miami. That Edward James Olmos never would have been Castillo. Um, which Is it true you did comedy at a gangbang? Yeah, I did. It was my very first paid gig, $2,500 to do basically crowd work to the guys in line waiting to fuck this girl. Which Art Bell topic or guest was your favorite? I mean, I don't remember any particular guest, but I did like the one episode where this caller called in and said he thought that Al Qaeda shot the space shuttle out of the air with a laser beam. And the way Art Bell was trolling this guy the whole phone call was really funny. That's my favorite episode. I mean, I was much more of a fan of Matt Drudge because Drudge is gay in real life, and I don't think a lot of the callers picked up on that. So he would troll people too. Um, and I missed that show. I used to have a device called the Radio Shark, which was like a VCR for radio shows if you wanted to tape them. And I don't know where all the episodes went, but they disappeared. And I'm a big fan of. I had the best time on Sunday nights, and that's when I really started writing jokes. I would sit down as soon as Drudge would start, and I'd write till about midnight, 2 hours into Art Bell. Um, I liked Dave Paulides, no doubt. Night Moose directed that question to me. What about the time travel guy? Yeah, I mean, I listened every week, but I don't specifically remember a host. Chris Thorne, that's Pee Wee in the Wild. I know it was pretty neat to meet Pee Wee. Um, and I think Tommy Turner committed suicide, if I'm not mistaken. Someone from that cast committed suicide. Um, you have why would you have a cell phone jammer? What are you doing that you need a cell phone jammer? We're gonna go a few more minutes, guys. So hit the like button if you can, please. And we'll do a stream Sunday night. Maybe that might be the long-awaited Eddie Nash route. September 17th is my 56th birthday. Let's plan on breaking all records for views, likes, money, whatever. September 17th in the Earlverse. Um, yeah, I mean, I just Art Bell, it really drew you in with his voice. I mean, there were some fantastic episodes of um, Miami Vice. I mean, I spoke with Esai Morales. Now he was a little tipsy at the time, but in the Comedy Store kitchen one night about Miami Vice, and he basically said the same thing, William. And here's the crazy thing: uh, is that a fly on my left shoulder? No, no, it's a hole in the t-shirt, baby. Sorry. Um, the crazy thing is, my parents moved to Miami in 1988, and they lived on a place called Sunset Island. And in the episode where Esai Morales plays a home invader, he's in my parents' driveway. It must have been the year maybe 2 years before they moved there. Um, so my parents' home is in an episode of Miami Vice. Birthday stream will be September 17th, which I believe is a Tuesday. Dr. Chow Mega G, addicted to profits, is obsessed with Miami Vice. You should do a show with him. I don't do guests here, Dr. Chow, as you know. But I'm not against, maybe maybe Addicted to Profits can come in the stream one night and chop it up with me. I believe I was on the Pork Report about 2 months ago. Yeah, I mean, I felt bad for George Norrie because he had to follow Art Bell, and it's just like when Corolla had to follow Howard Stern. You were just doomed to not fail, but not do as well. It's like when John Davis. I'm going to do a hockey example that probably most of you won't really get, but it's like when John Davidson took over in goal for the Rangers. He took over for Eddie Jockman, who was a beloved, maybe the most popular New York Ranger of all time. And John Davidson was a great goalie, but the fans didn't care of it. And here's the crazy thing about that. John Davidson tells a story. So they're on a plane going to wherever they're playing. I think they were playing St. Louis or something. And, this is not before the days of Twitter and, TMZ and all the sites where you could get news before the people who the news is about here. And John Davidson's walking around the plane looking for Eddie Jockman. And the equipment manager was like, Eddie's gone. And John Davidson apparently was like, gone where? Um, and like, he's been put on waivers and the Red Wings picked him up. And what was the Rangers' next game? In Madison Square Garden against the Detroit Red Wings. And if you ever get to see a clip of that, even if you're not a hockey fan, it's pretty cool because out walks Eddie Jockman and the whole crowd is the whole game yelling, Eddie, Eddie. And the Rangers lost to the Red Wings that day. And they actually booed in Madison Square Garden when the Rangers would score on Jockman. So one of the great, uh, replacements gone wrong. You want my Thai girlfriend to put on a magic show for your birthday? No, we don't do that stuff, Aaron, on the Earlverse stream. Um, yeah, I mean it's tough. I mean taking over for Art Bell, like man, I don't even know if I would do that job. It's like when Joe Coy was asked to host, what was it, the Emmys or the Golden Globes? He was literally probably the fifth or sixth choice. I personally would have said no. Actually, no, I wouldn't. The gigs I take. Peter Chicken Man Brennan. Uh-oh, how pissed do you think Eric Griffin is that Bobby Chu Santino instead of him for Bad Friends? Probably pretty pissed. Why don't you guys tweet at Santino to get me on there? Maybe I could be the new Doc Willis. I'll sell out. I'll be a ham and egger for, look at what that show's done for Jet Ski. You know, and Jet Ski brought me up the other night at the Comedy Store, gave me a very nice introduction. Late night in front of a tough crowd. So thank you, Jet Ski Johnson. Um, yeah, but George Norrie was handed multiple millions of dollars of simulcast. I mean, it's tough. I mean, Art Bell was so legendary that it just the fans were not going to like anyone whose name wasn't Art Bell. It's just the way it is. Um, I mean, about the only guy to really ever successfully replace someone is when Gretzky was traded to LA. Messier then became the face of the franchise, and they won a Stanley Cup the next year, or that year they traded Gretzky. He's about the only one that survived the switch. I mean, I never watched Kill Tony. I've never watched an episode of it. I think I've been a panelist 3 or 4 times, and then the Iron Patriot twice. So uh, I'll take your word for it. She's a very nice person. I've gone on after Chappelle, and he didn't even give me an intro. He was so high. He was just like, I think there's somebody next. But I had a very good set because I have the best joke for following someone of that stature. I was like, wow, now I know how the Chinese guy feels following the black guy in a gangbang. And it was packed and it killed. I rarely kill. You guys know I'm honest. That joke killed. And so everyone stayed for me. So, I mean, listen, there's a lot of people AC/DC that feel the same way about a roast battle. I get it. Um, I just, I get why Kill Tony is successful. It's basically combines roast battle with the Gong Show. You know, it's not. It's funnier when the comics are bad because when the comics are funny on Kill Tony, there's really not a lot to slam them on. So it's just like, okay, that was really funny. And I was never really that good on Kill Tony in terms of being a panelist because I take stand up so seriously that I would actually like try and give comedy advice. And I could tell the crowd was looking at me going, what the fuck are you talking about? And burn them, roast them. We don't care what you think about joke structure. And the last time I was on Kill Tony was when Allie Mack was telling a story about going to Tijuana with two comics, and I said, "Oh, Dalia and Callan," and Tony kicked me under the table, and I haven't been asked back since. Did you get to hang out with any of the guys from Guns N' Roses in the '80s? I did. Steven Adler was my next door neighbor when I lived on Century Park East and Olympic. He was 4 stories above me, and I think Unit 510. I was in apartment 102. Uh, I moved down from the 19th floor after the earthquake because when I still lived on the 19th floor, when we'd have an aftershock, my unit would go like this. I mean, it was literally like a car dealership balloon, like this. And so I couldn't sleep at night because I was afraid the building was going to collapse. So I moved to the first floor, which, looking back, probably wouldn't have helped much better. Just the building would have collapsed on me. So let me thank the financial contributors before we go tonight. The tippers, the fan funders, whatevers, Queen On, and Peter Chicken Man Brennan. Thank you, as always, for your patronage. So when was the Northridge earthquake? 1994. And it's a joke I do on stage, so I won't do it here, but I was living 1903 North. 1905 North was Fay Ray from King Kong, and I had to walk her down the stairwell. And I said, "Hey, Faye, I think he's coming back for you." And she looked at me like, "Just take me downstairs, you pasty white motherfucker." What's more entertaining, Kill Tony or Dabbleverse? Oh boy, that's a tough one. I mean, I do still enjoy listening to Kevin Brennan. He's fucking funny to me. That episode where he is letting Chad argue with that in Mr. Kill Everything, and I told him this. Kevin's feigning like enthusiasm, like, huh? Come on, guys. Um, so it's good to be back in the Earlverse. We'll be doing another stream Sunday night. I appreciate your patronage. Um, I might, I've got 2 spots this week at the Comedy Store, Saturday night and Sunday. Thank you, Waver. And a fist fight? Yes, that was the building Don Adams lived in. He lived in the 2160 side. I lived on the 2160 side, and then when the earthquake hit, I went over across the way to the 2170 side, and I was, and I mean, I still drive by the building. They looks pretty much the same, um, and they seem to have upgraded the gym a lot. I mean, when I was there, the gym was literally a treadmill and like a Bowflex. Now it looks like a nice gym. Um, and I've often wondered if I should move back there. It is a great building, but there's also a new, like completely modernized. It looks like something out of RoboCop right down the street. So I would guess that that building has taken away some business from. I mean, I just before I go, these are the people who lived in those buildings: Fay Ray from King Kong, Steven Adler from Guns N' Roses. I think one of the guitar players from Ugly Kid Joe, Don Adams from Get Smart. Now he lived in the north side. His hot daughter lived on the south building. Faye Resnick of the O.J. Simpson trial, Bruce McNall of the L.A. Kings, the owner of the L.A. Kings, and a shit ton of prostitutes. Klaus, we're just about to end. Sorry you got here late to the party, but hey, listen, feel free to listen. Uh, well, no, those were condos. I was renting, but that they were 2160 and 2170. Look up, I guess, on Yelp or I don't know, just on Zillow, 2160 or 2170 Century Park East. It's a really fucking nice building. Um, but um, no, you're talking about Ugly Kid Joe. I forget the guy's name, Adam something. But I think he was in Ugly Kid Joe like before they made it. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think who else was, and the nighttime, the graveyard security girl. I think her name was Tasha Strong. Her brother Derek was playing on the Lakers, which I found really weird that your brother is playing on the Lakers, but you're working a minimum wage job at, um, a nighttime security job. I thought that was weird. Uh, John, are you just mentioning random names? Roger, Larry. No, his name was Adam something. I forget. He was friends with my brother. My brother even lived in the building at one point. Um, but just a wild, like a lot of rich kids, a lot of parents dump their rich kids off in this building. You ever watch the Eric Andre show? I've never watched the show. I'm not against it. I'm not a fan. I watch a lot of reality TV for the jokes. Earl, you ever thought of writing a book about your experience as a comedian? Let me get the special out of the way first. But I have led an interesting life. I mean, just my celebrity interactions, even at Bel Air Country Club, are pretty fucking awesome. Um, Maybe she had pride and didn't want to ask her brother for money. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. But it was a very Sidney Poitier's daughter, Sydney, lived in the building too. She had a dog, I had a dog. We'd always talk late at night. She's very nice, really pretty too. Um, so just a really interesting group of people lived in this building, and I'm sure it's probably still that way now. And I'd always see, did you ever get to the Wonderland stream? I might do it this Sunday. I did a dry run with my friend the other night, about 2 weeks ago, where we went to the Starwood, the Odyssey, which was his basically underage nightclub, and then we went to Eddie Nash's house, which is a little bit over the Mulholland side, the valley side of Mulholland, and then we went to the Wonderland house, which is, probably 10 minutes from Eddie Nash's house. So now I can do it on my own, and it's just hard to do it. I should have done it with her. She could have held the phone and answered the questions, and I could have driven. But it is hard. That route at night it's easier to do at night because there's less traffic. I don't think I could do that in the daytime because all the traffic. But so I will be doing an official Wonderland stream. I have a spot this Sunday at the store, so I don't know if I'll do it before my spot. It wouldn't take that long. Like I said, Nash's house and the Wonderland house are about 10 minutes apart. If I decided to show you guys the Starwood, which is now a Russian deli, and the Odyssey, which is now, funny enough, a um, lens crafters, that would add, it'd probably take me about 40 minutes to do the stream. And be rough to do it while driving. I mean, I would miss a lot of questions unless they were super chats, which are easier for me to see. Apparently, Ugly Kid Joe came up with the name when they had to find a name when they secured opening up for Pretty Boy Floyd. That's interesting. I did not know that. Wasn't she in a Tarantino movie? Faye Resnick? Uh, I only remember one. Yeah, what? Everything About You. And they did a Cats in the Cradle cover that wasn't bad. Yeah, I mean, it might be this Sunday, but I might wait for a week from Sunday because I do have a spot at the store. And it's not that I get nervous before a spot at the comedy store, but I like to have my brain pretty fried and open, uh, and relaxed, I guess, is a better word. Before a spot at the store, I like to relax typically. Oh, Sidney Poitier. I'm sorry. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I remember I saw her in some TV show, a series. I'm like, oh my god, that's my neighbor. And I don't know if she would remember me if I saw her again. She probably would, because we saw each other a lot. At between midnight and 3 a.m. She'd be coming back from acting gigs. I'd be coming back from, I just started comedy, and she was really nice and really, really pretty. She was in some cop show. It wasn't The Shield, but it was something like The Shield, and she really underplayed uh, her who her father was, which I like. It's like when Sid Justice died, the wrestler, John. It's like when I met not the other night, but maybe about when I had Jelly, the blind French bulldog. Um, I was walking her one night late with Lois and this really pretty blonde girl and her soon-to-be husband. Oh my God, your dog's blind. Can we pet her? And it was probably midnight, 1 a.m. And I'm talking to this girl, and the whole time I'm like, I know this girl from somewhere. I know her from somewhere. And it hit me. I'm like, hey, were you the daughter in The Shield? And she was like, yeah, it was Michael Chiklis's daughter. And it's weird. She's really pretty, but in the face, she definitely looks like her dad. I know that's two things that are hard to imagine that can be true at the same time. Ross Dogs, $3. I'm top super chatter for today's show. R.I.P. Gilbert Gottfried. What was the last time I did a stream? And I think one dude was really wanting to be the number one super chatter, so he kept super chatting me like $2 every time someone else would super chat me. Yes, Michael Chiklis, Miami Vice. I believe he was in Crime Story for an episode. Also in that Vegas show on CBS, which I actually liked. And he's in what was it? The new show? I think it's on MGM, Cocaine Kingpin or something, where he plays a cop trying to take down Danny Pino, another Shield alumni. Uh, The Shield, a great she was in Schindler's List. Um, I never saw Schindler's List. The subject matter didn't really I didn't find myself appealing. Yeah, I mean, Michael Chiklis, great actor, also The Thing and the superhero movies. The Commission was a good show. I think The Shield, especially, we talk about Miami Vice and bands fading, To Kill Tony, Roast Battle fading after they blow up. I would say The Shield was the same way. I mean, The Shield, the first couple seasons, man, were fucking amazing. Sons of Anarchy too. I thought though the Mayans got better, uh, but 5 seasons in, I think they just ran out of bad guys. So, all right, you kids, Earl Skakel, it's good to be back in the Earlverse. Let me thank my tippers. I appreciate you guys very much. Ween on, Peter Chicken Man, Brennan, and Ross Dogs. I appreciate the tips. Appreciate William Zoom for all the comments. Getting me into the algo rhythm. And Sunday night we'll do another stream. I might do another stream. Maybe tomorrow night if Dynamite's a good one. Yeah, the gay black guy, Julian. Um, he's in jail for killing his wife in real life. Thank you, Chris Storn. You're the man. PayPal East Skakel. You just wake up one day and want to send me money. See, I don't panhandle on here. Um, I've neglected my Patreon to be honest with you, but I'm really trying to blow up my YouTube channel. I mean, my friend Ty Rivera, he started out with about 2,000 subscribers, and now he's up to 50,000. Jordan is another one of my mentors in the YouTube world. I mean, he started off with less than what I have, and now he has, I think, close to 400,000 subscribers. So, yes, hit the like button, share if you can. There's all kinds of ways to help. You can do what William Zoom does and comment on every video, and then I always try and comment back, and then that gets me into the algorithm. You should put your Venmo up. I don't have a Venmo, to be honest with you. I tried to register it to pay Lois's mom money for some dog food and medicine, veterinarian bills, and it wouldn't let me do it. So right now I'm just at PayPal. So maybe before the special, I'll sign up to all those things: Cash App, PayPal, Venmo. But I'm not really doing this shit for money. Yeah, Zelle. You know, I mean, listen. I'm doing this. The streams are more of a thank you to you guys for being there when I didn't have a lot of fans. Uh, but I mean, I'm still trying to figure out YouTube. I mean, I have the most fun trying to build my YouTube channel because you can hit it from many angles. You can do shorts, you can do 2 to 3 minute videos. I can put up a 15-minute clip of my stand up. I can do the streams. Like today, I've done a short. I think I released one video and this stream. So, I'm trying. And you guys are helping. So I appreciate it. Earl Skakel, over and out.